How's it going, bros? I hope you're having a great day whenever you're watching this video, or great night, or a great morning, or a great evening. Whenever you're watching this, I hope you're having a great time. Now, I'm sorry for the lack of uploads, but that's gonna change. I want to keep pushing them out. I want to keep making content. So this is gonna be hopefully a weekly basis where I drop a video. That is my goal, is to drop at least one video a week, if not two, if not three. But you know, we'll see how that goes. But thanks for watching. Let's get into it. Today's video is going to be on the internet's latest Lolcow, Tyler Catastrophe. Now, if you don't know anything about Tyler Catastrophe, let me just fill you in. Tyler gained popularity after posting this video, professing his deep-founded love for infamous fighter and professional Minecraft player willbur Soot.
I've had a crush on Will Gold since 2019 when I heard him laugh in the background of someone else's video, and it felt like life itself leaned in to listen. Which is really inconvenient for me, because I am very much a one soul at a time kind of person, so once I develop a crush, virtually no one else stands a chance ever. And at the time, I had just broken off a terrible engagement to a guy who didn't even fucking like me. And since then, I have only briefly dated one other person, who was wonderful, but it didn't work out. And so in all of that time, regardless of how many people have tried and been interested in me, I have not been able to find the interest for any single one of them, because I have a fucking crush on a guy I have interacted with once. And I don't even officially know his sexuality. That's a whole other thing. And I have tried so hard to move on from this, to let it go, because I want so badly for it not to cross over into parasocial territory. But in like the 7 minutes that we spoke to each other, one, every time we made eye contact, I thought my heart was gonna fucking burst out of my chest and fly away. Two, I was so nervous that my head just shut off and my mouth had a mind of its own. And anyone who knows me and has ever met me knows that I don't get nervous about people. What the hell was that? Three, he somehow managed to make me want to write music again, something I have not done since my last band broke up in 2019 and I got hit by a car and couldn't sing anymore. And I can sing again now. It took several years, but I got it back because I'm amazing. But how dare you pull my spark back out from underneath the ashes I spent years burying it under because it hurt too much to think about. In like 2 sentences. It's rude. And 4, he failed to take a selfie with me because he was operating on like iPhone settings and I have an Android, and I accidentally called him adorable and immediately wanted to swallow my fucking tongue. Because you don't flirt with people when they're working. That's rude. I paid to... I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. And my point is, it's a whole thing that I would like to no longer have to deal with. And all of this is made worse because I have been recognized at every single concert I've been to in the past year and a half, including 2 of his. And I've been on the Lovejoy Nation podcast twice. So no matter how many times I try to sweep this under the rug and move on with my life, there's always that little thing in the back of my head saying, there's a non-zero chance. Oh my god. So basically, the way I see it, I finally say fuck it, I make this video, I say it all out loud to the ether that is the internet. Worst case scenario, he sees it, he says, hey, not for me. I move on with my life, it's fine, I'm an adult, who cares? I'll take a no over uncertainty any day of the week. Neutral option, nothing happens. Oh well, I guess. Best case scenario, you know? Because honestly, it doesn't matter what I'm doing any day ever for the rest of my life. If he was like, hey, do you want to get dinner or something? I'd say yes. Obviously, I'm delusional. It's fine. But at this point, I'm just so over the not doing anything about the things that I want. You know? What's up with that? No one gets anywhere that way. So fuck it. I've said it out loud. What else is there to do at 9 p.m. on a... Is it Friday? I think it's Friday. Anyway... It is what it is, I guess. Okay, love you, bye. Also, I don't have a ring light. I have this flower lamp. It's very yellow, but yellow's my favorite color, so... A win is a win.
Now, having a crush on someone isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when it crosses the line and becomes uncomfortable for the audience, and definitely uncomfortable for the person it was meant for, that's when it gets a bit iffy, you know what I mean? Now, willbur hasn't came out and addressed this, which is probably in his best interest to be honest, but the backlash Tyler received was quite strong. He addresses this in one of his most recent TikToks, so I want to play that now for you guys. It was originally like 8 to 10 minutes long, so I did speed it up so it wouldn't be as quite hard to get through. Thank you for watching. Let's get into it.
This video is probably going to be the full 10 minutes because doing a part 2 feels really scummy. But if you could please bear with me and stay to the end, I have a lot to say, there's a lot you need to know, and apologies that need to be made. And I need to just lay it all out on the table all at once. Because for the past month and a half, almost 2 months now, has been a non-stop panic for me. Because when this all started, and it was just people misinterpreting a video about a crush on a guy in a band, assuming a lot of things that were not true, or just straight up calling me cringe and ugly, a lot of the advice I was getting was just to keep posting confidently and show them they're not getting to you, and the internet has a short attention span. And I followed that advice. And when the death threat started, I think we all greatly underestimated just how far some people were going to go in order to hurt me and the people I care about. My family, my friends, anyone and everyone who has ever interacted with or supported me in any way. And by the time I realized what was happening, it was every second of every day, and I didn't know what the fuck to do. And in trying to put out any fire I could reach, I made a lot more mistakes, and every time I thought it was going to be okay, something else happened. And because I have a lot of commitments keeping me online, the GoFundMe orders I need to finish, I could not step away. So I wound up in this awful spiral, barely eating, barely sleeping. So I completely checked out for a day or two, trying to just let myself catch up. And if you don't mind, I would like very much to try again.
Now, I don't condone death threats or anything like that over something so trivial, and it's not really cool to hear that that's happening to him and his family, but he says he cannot get off the internet due to his income. That's understandable. If this is his only way of making money, then this is his only way of making money. You know, he says he got hit by a car, so I'm not sure if he would be able to do any other job in real life, so I'm not going to say he should. I'm not going to go out and do that. But having parasocial crushes isn't the only reason that this guy leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. In fact, he's been accused of cultural appropriation. I'll let him get into it.
So, firstly, I do not refer to myself as Two-Spirit. I have mistakenly done so in the past, in 2023, I think, in a video I honestly thought I deleted, because I realized right after I posted the video that I fucked up. And when I made a more recent video about the differences between my own beadwork and the beadwork done by other native and indigenous peoples around me, ended up unearthing that old video that I had already self-corrected and again thought I had deleted. With everything else going on, I panicked. I ended up making another video that I did not think through. The words that I ended up saying were entirely wrong, and my exhaustion and overwhelm in the moment does not excuse it. I fucked up, and I am genuinely sorry. I promise I am just as upset with myself as anyone else was, and I have been corrected, but I knew that I could not address it until I had dealt with more of the mental stuff. I promise the delay was not me trying to avoid accountability, it was just me trying to avoid another mistake. I have never meant any disrespect to the native and indigenous communities. I just picked all the wrong words, and I am so fucking sorry.
As I said, one of Tyler's controversies were, as he said, due to him claiming to be two-spirited, which I think means having two cultures. That's my guess, not too sure though. I actually have the video he is talking about, and I will play that now.
I turned my back on the way I was raised and decided to find myself on my own terms, partially because my family turned their backs on me. I did what a lot of people do and turned to spirituality. And also like a lot of people, I turned to the Hellenic Greek pantheon first. It was the most accessible, the one I had the most knowledge of at the time, and certainly the most socially acceptable.
I'm not sure if I'm crossing a line by saying the Greek pantheon is one of the most socially acceptable religions out there. But you know, I've played God of War, I've wielded the blades of chaos, I've been out there on the streets of Mount Olympus. So, you know, maybe I should start worshipping old Zeus since I know my way around that type of stuff.
But the one thing that really never stopped calling was the land I was born to. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. Arguably the most indigenous state, given how many times it was taken away and then leased back to its people. Peoples who have endured immense suffering, time and time again, and even in continued suffering, have fought tooth and nail to keep not only their lives, but their ways alive. Even when their stories and histories and ceremonies have been outlawed by people who saw what they had, saw their kindness and generosity, and decided to take everything they had away from them. And it's rare that I talk about my own beliefs and experiences with spirituality or whatever word you want to use for it, mostly because I'm not the debating type. But if there's one thing I hold to be absolutely true, it's that the land remembers her people. And while there is a lot to be said about the generations of breeding out the savage, quote-unquote, something I hate saying, and the very racist intentions of blood.
Now, I'm not going to be speaking on which land is the most indigenous, only because I don't think it's my place, you know. Even though I grew up as a person in, the state of New Mexico, which has a large population of Native Americans, I've had some friends myself who were Native Americans, but I'm not going to claim to be a Native American just because I live in New Mexico. Living in a state who has a large population of Native Americans I don't consider myself Native American, but I'm glad that despite Tyler's bloodline and despite his heritage, he was able to return to his earthly roots and engage his soul.
Blood quantum. But when it comes to me personally, the land I was born to holds a great deal of importance to me. When I am sure of nothing else, I am sure of where I come from. And somewhere in the years of educating myself, and learning the stories and the histories and finding the truths and the lies I was taught, I found the ways of my home. And while I would never claim a heritage I have no way of proving, I would never take opportunities away from the people that deserve them, and would never take up space in a culture I was not welcome to, if honoring the ways of the people of my home, learning their histories and doing what little I can to help keep their ways alive, and referring to myself as Two-Spirit as a way of honoring the weight of my own soul and the way it guides me home, with the blessing of my deadliest auntie, by the way, is something that you would consider morally corrupt, then I don't think we will ever understand each other. There is a lot I don't share about myself, a lot I don't tell about myself. Not because I'm ashamed or because I think it's wrong, but because it's likely to be misunderstood, and I don't always have the words to make it understandable. But at the end of the day, everyone has those things that are likely to be misunderstood. And with so many people's love of assuming things they'd have no way of knowing, it's really no wonder we keep them to ourselves. Okay, love you, bye. They say that people can only understand others at the same depth they understand themselves. And not to give you homework or anything, but I hope you take a little time today to get to know yourself a bit better. It helps.
I mean, man, this is really delusional stuff. This was in 2023. What are you talking about? Two spirits. This guy is out here moving like Nightwolf from Mortal Kombat. He's about to summon a wolf, bear, man, pig hybrid to tear down any doubters in his path. I mean, why even claim to be of that culture if you know your only connection to it is being born in a state with a high population of a certain persons? Now that we have that out of the way, let's get back to the video.
My second point, when it comes to the Wilbur and Shovel situation, firstly, please understand that there is really no good way to say any of what needs to be said. Honestly, I probably should have just never commented on any of it at all. But when I posted that video 2.5 years ago, there was still a lot of confusion, and the only reason I posted that video was because there were multiple people asking me my opinion, and at the time there was a lot of harm being done just from the communities and fandoms surrounding this. And I stayed away from anything other than Shelby's statement, because with anything else I just felt that there wasn't enough information and a lot of conflicting information that I didn't fully understand and didn't want to speak on because I didn't understand it. And because I saw a lot of people treating Wilbur's statement as an admission of guilt, when to me it did seem genuine, and like he honestly didn't understand the extent of the harm he had done and was doing therapy and stuff to be better in the future, I felt very strongly about the way it was being treated from an outside perspective, and I saw a lot of uninvolved people getting hurt. And while my intention with that video was to reduce harm, I wound up letting my own perspective and interpretation kind of take over the video. Things that got left out, things that didn't need to be left in, things that should have been said very differently, and honestly, I should have just left it alone.
I mean, what else can be said? He summarizes my thoughts perfectly. I mean, you have gone onto fan podcasts for this span. In my opinion, it feels like when he made that original video, he was a bit biased towards Will. To avoid any confusion, I'm going to play that video right here.
I'm asking you so nicely to keep listening. Okay. Believe victims, believe survivors. However, as a victim myself, as a survivor myself, what we should be saying when we say those words is believe victims, believe survivors first. Because the unfortunate truth is that just because you would never lie about something so important does not mean that no one would. Because blindly believing people like me can still be a bad thing. I know I would never lie about that sort of thing, but I still know people who have admitted to making false allegations, who have bragged about making false allegations. I still have known people who said that they would if they knew that it would benefit them. And every single time I've been assaulted, every single time I have been abused, every single time that I have been in a situation where I needed someone to believe me, a vast majority of the people in my life chose not to. I know how it feels to not be believed. So if someone tells me that they have been through a similar situation to my own, I will always believe them first. But if it comes to a point where I cannot feel comfortable believing them, that is saying a lot. And I definitely do not make that decision lightly, ever. It does not matter how much I like the accused, it does not matter how attractive they are, it does not matter how successful or talented they are, I will always believe the alleged victim first. I loved All Time Low as a kid. I was in Onision forums for years, and when I heard about things they were doing behind the scenes, it did not matter how much I liked them. I was done. I was 100% on Amber Heard's side until I was given too many reasons not to be. But that is still not a decision that I made lightly. And I know that for every person who takes the time to understand what I'm saying, there's another one that won't. But I know that I personally have to use discernment in order to feel comfortable with the decisions I make. And even if I cannot personally feel comfortable trusting someone at their word, I'm not saying that you shouldn't. My decisions are made up of my experiences, just as yours are made up of yours. And at the end of the day, there are hundreds, if not thousands of victims and survivors that I believe wholeheartedly. And there are genuinely only 3 that I know of that I cannot feel comfortable believing. And if not feeling comfortable believing those 3 and everything they say makes people think that I am a horrible person, There's nothing I can do about that. But if there is one thing I can say, but I will never compromise my own moral compass just to make someone else feel better. Because my moral compass was forged in a fire that I hope no one else has to go through. So please, if you hear nothing else from this video, believe victims, believe survivors first. But please keep in mind that there are people who lie about that sort of thing, and it does irreparable harm to those of us that don't. And personally, I don't want to forgive the people who do. Okay, love you, bye.
Now, I'm not gonna say anything too crazy here, but he has to realize how it looks. And I'm not trying to take away from anything he may have experienced, but at the same time, why is it his place to do that to someone else and someone like Shovel? I have another video showing him doing this again.
Allegations. However, one, the person making those accusations has a history of making false allegations. Do we not remember Parker? Two, the allegations she made were him having a messy house, her paying for her own flights, and biting that she fully consented to.
While I was editing this video, I took note of what he said there about her fully consenting to the biting. And I want you to keep that in the back of your head for further on in the video, because that's not necessarily true.
Three, she made those allegations in a live stream, getting paid the longer she talked, and I'm pretty sure the VOD was also uploaded to YouTube. And as a victim myself, that just doesn't sit right with me. And four, the backlash, completely unfounded. The only comments I'm deleting off of my video are misinformation, because people are saying he's a pedophile, he's a groomer, he's whatever. None of that has any basis in any reality. I have built my platform by being authentic, kind, compassionate, and honest with the people who watch me. And regardless of what I may allow people to think about me, I am not naive, and I am certainly not stupid. All of my major life decisions are carefully thought out and carefully considered. If there was a single atom in my being that thought Lovejoy was actually made up of horrible people, I would not touch it with a 40-foot pole. Okay, that is not who I am. I wouldn't care. And if you think I would, then clearly this is not the place for you. I don't know what else you want me to say. Anyway, the only comments I'm deleting off of that video right now are misinformation and the ones that are getting picked up by the filter, because personally, I'm not reading all that. I'm sorry. If TikTok says it shouldn't be there, who am I to judge? You can insult me all you want. You can call me ugly. You can say my voice is bad. You're fucking wrong. Someone even said that my giggle was annoying. The one thing I get the most compliments on. I'm not taking you seriously. I'm a vocalist. Nothing in the world makes me as happy as singing. It is quite literally my calling. I know. I've tried to avoid it. And Lovejoy is everything I've ever looked for in a band. I love them on their own. I have nothing to lose either way. I literally went to college for music business, and they have the single most impressive rookie year I have ever seen. Why wouldn't I want to be a part of it? And also, not for nothing, but one of the people I blocked off of that video had all-time low in their bio. No wonder you think I'm doing something wrong. The phone is ringing off the hook inside your living room. But people who know me in person, people who've been following me for a while, people who know how I interact with the world, know where I stand on things like abuse. I have an entire series calling out my abusive father, and my relationship with my ex-fiancé was so bad that his cousin took my side and no longer talks to him. I have helped my friends escape domestic violence. I have escaped it myself. I've done victim advocacy training. If I thought someone was an abuser, I would steer the fuck clear. But I also grew up in rural Bible Belt America. I am not going to let the rumor mill have the reins to my opinions. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm just telling you what I think. What I think is that even if everything she said was true, it does not make him irredeemable. Anyway, I'm going to go eat breakfast or something. Okay, love you, bye.
Like I said, I'm not trying to invalidate him or anything, but at the same time, that's exactly what he did to her. But, oh well, that's all he has to say for her claims that Will bit her repeatedly. So, I want to show a clip of Shovel talking about her experiences, just to show that he is mistaken.
I would go home later, and I'd tell him how uncomfortable I was, how much I didn't like being hurt all the time.
For the third point, Shovel states very clearly in her follow-up VOD that she consented to the biting. She then went on to clarify that what she had an issue with was the fact that it hurt.
To me, this all feels like he was defending his own personal feelings and an actual person. He had no connection to these people, other than meeting Will one time and being a fan of his content. In all honesty, he shouldn't have said anything about this video, and he even says that. So let's go on and let's finish it.
As a lot of the people I was dealing with at the time were people who I thought were missing the point, not realizing just how badly I had missed my own point. I wound up getting really unnecessarily frustrated and wound up just really badly doubling down over time, which just made everything so much worse. And while part of me wants to clear up several more things, every time I try, it just keeps sounding like justifications. And at this point, I think I just need to bow out, admit that I went about things the wrong way, and wound up investing myself in something that was none of my business. I promise I have learned from this, I will continue learning from this, and I will refrain from inserting myself into things like this in the future. Because even if my intention was to reduce harm, clearly I missed the mark, and I am sorry. I will do better. That I did not realize that sooner. So to everyone who's been just trying to hold me accountable, thank you. With everything else that was happening, most of the very valid criticisms got buried, and it all just got very away from me very quickly. So again, thank you. And while I know that there's really no one doing any of this, my platforms are usually a pretty positive place. It's always just been a bunch of artists supporting each other. And while I am going to step away for a few days to just be with my family and sort out some more personal things, hopefully, eventually, it can be that again. But for now, thank you again. And I promise I will always be the person who is open to learning and doing better in the future. And I am incredibly sorry that I allowed myself to lose sight of that. I hope that life is kind to you, Okay, love you, bye.
I cut out a few minutes where he speaks about a fake job that he had put out there. You know, he only visited a studio. It didn't really fit the theme of the video, so I decided to cut it. I'm sorry, but you know, I decided to. I genuinely don't think Tyler is a bad dude. He is very parasocial, but he says that most people in his day-to-day life like him. So maybe using the internet as a strictly form of business or income would be the best thing for him. It seems that this has really affected him in a way that's not really like good for his mental health. So I couldn't find a spot in this video to mention the fact that he wanted to move to Britain, specifically to the area that Wilbur should live. It's pretty crazy, and you know, it was more tying into that job offer thing I mentioned as well, but this video has gotten long enough already, and I don't want to waste any more of your time. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the TikTokers in this video. If you see them, just try to go to their page and leave a like. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you liked the video. Comment if you want to leave a comment. Share it with a friend if you wanted to share it with a friend. Thank you. Have a nice day. Peace out.
And while I don't think anyone should be hurt in their relationships, at the end of the day, that is a communication issue.